All right, everybody. Thanks for joining me on episode 3 of Chats with Codisha. I have the wonderful Alice Moon with me today. She is a cannabis publicist, LinkedIn strategist, and LinkedIn ghostwriter. And she's also a LinkedIn influencer, which is just one part of what she does. She's worked in social media for 11 years now, and almost all of her work has been for cannabis companies. Alice is also part of the LinkedIn Creator Program, which this is my first time hearing that, and was and is the first cannabis creator to be accepted into the program. So welcome, Alice, to the show.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you for joining us. So a little background on why I invited Alice today. I had made a tweet about a month ago saying basically, what is a LinkedIn influencer? I saw the term on LinkedIn. I was really curious because, influencer is kind of just thrown around a lot these days. So I figured it'd be better to have Alice talk about it than me just go on my own rant about it. She's a professional in this space, so I'm really looking forward to learning about what it is that she does as a B2B influencer and how others can maybe get into this field. So, Alice, let's go ahead and get started. Tell us what is a B2B LinkedIn influencer? What do you do?
So there's a lot of parts to it. I create content that is beneficial for like employees at companies. So I do like educational material about like social media or things in the cannabis industry. And then when it comes to doing paid content, brands will pay me to shout them out on my LinkedIn. And so from a sponsored post, they get new business leads. So I have a few case studies. My most successful one was a video production agency did a shout out with me, and they landed a $5,000 a month contract from it.
Wow.
Uh, yeah, so it's been very successful. Whenever I do a shout out for a company, they always get some type of leads. And then I also have a LinkedIn newsletter that I put out once a month, and I have sponsors for that as well. And so I just had a newsletter I put out last week, and a writer sponsored that one, and she got a lead from a cannabis agency that reached out to her. So I'm just connecting businesses with each other, services with brands that need those services.
That's awesome. So it's not as gimmicky as like Instagram influencing or TikTok. Because I know when I hear influencer, I'm just like, oh my gosh, is this gimmicky? But to me, and what you're saying, it doesn't sound like it's as gimmicky as we think it is.
No, not at all. There's actual results happening here.
Wow.
It's not just for brand awareness, it's actually for like brand sales.
That's what most companies care about is that bottom line. Are there different types of LinkedIn influencers? Because you're in the B2B space, but is there opportunity for people who are maybe B2C, D2C, anything like that?
I think B2B is the strongest on LinkedIn, but
Mhm.
there is some B2C. Like there are some influencers who talk about like motivational or inspirational things, and then they sell
Mhm.
courses or they like have workshops and stuff. So they're hitting their target customer with their content and then selling like the courses and things like that. So there are some people who are doing B2C on there. I just
Mhm.
find that B2B works really well because you have executives from companies on the platform, and that's who makes decisions at companies, so you literally are putting yourself in front of the decision makers.
Yeah, that's a good point. So how did you fall into this side of LinkedIn?
So I've been on social media for such a long time, and I'm in the cannabis industry, and most platforms censor cannabis content. So
Mm,
Instagram will delete your account. TikTok doesn't allow it at all. And so LinkedIn is actually cannabis friendly. And so I realized that a few years ago and was like, I'm going to gravitate towards this platform. So
smart.
they don't delete cannabis content. They like allow us to be a part of the community there because we're not trying to sell weed. We're trying to just
Mhm.
talk about weed. We're trying to
Yeah.
talk about the business side of things, how these companies operate. And so LinkedIn has been very friendly to my industry. So yeah, it's been a few years of me just like posting content on there, connecting with people. And pre-pandemic, I used to go to a lot of events, and so then I would just connect with those people on LinkedIn right after. So that's kind of helped me build a network. Is some offline as well as
Mhm.
online networking.
Awesome. And then what about the LinkedIn Creator Program? Were you in that before you became a B2B influencer, or was it vice versa?
No, I've been influencing prior to being in the creative program. So I joined the creative program in January of this year, and basically to be a part of that program, they look at your social following on LinkedIn, but also on other platforms. They want people who have a following on Twitter or on Instagram because they want you to encourage your followers to come join LinkedIn. So
Ah,
it's beneficial for LinkedIn for these creators to have followers on other platforms, which I do have 13,000 on Instagram and 6,000 on Twitter. So that was appealing to LinkedIn. And plus, I'm posting consistently. And
yeah.
so, yeah, with that, I get a LinkedIn mentor. So somebody who emails me every week with, like, hey, here's what's going to be trending this week. Here's our new features. I get first
Mm.
access to features. So it's really cool. And then I take that information and I share it with my community and tell people, hey, here's the new features that are coming out. Like, stay tuned for this. And
Mhm.
are you going to use that? And so I try to like be a voice for LinkedIn as well.
Yeah, I think you're very generous with your knowledge. I know I've reached out to you before and you've gave me some really good pointers on how to stand out on LinkedIn and what to do to appease the algorithm. So I appreciate you for that.
Yeah.
Um, so in what ways can people stand out on LinkedIn, I guess? We're kind of shifting the conversation, but it's so saturated. There's so many formulaic posts that I see. So in what ways do you think people can, if they're just starting out or they're just unsure of how to get any traction on there?
I think providing value is the number one most important thing, is to take the knowledge that you have inside of your head, do it in a way that's easy for people to comprehend, and like think about it as if they don't know what you're talking about at all. So you have to be very specific
Mhm.
and clear about things, and then just create consistently. You don't want to just like post like once a month and then you're not going to
Mhm.
see results and you wonder why. Well, you're not consistent. So I say 1 to 2 posts a week is a great cadence. So posts that provide value and then posts that also help connect the community are very successful. LinkedIn recently released a new feature where you can look at your top posts for the year. And
Oh,
my top 3 posts were the exact same post that I just did 3 months apart. And that post was, who needs a job, who's hiring, let's connect in the comments. I
wow.
got 200,000 views on one of my posts, because everyone's commenting, they're all trying to connect. I help people find jobs with this post, so I'm helping the community.
Yeah.
I'm using my networks for other people to network, so I'm giving back, and people are commenting, which the algorithm loves when people comment, and so then it's
Mm.
boosting it to more people. So I try to do things like that that are like helping others, and it's not all about me.
I think that's just the smartest way to do it. So if you post frequently and you're the B2B LinkedIn influencer, do you often get a lot of businesses in your DMs, or do you ever feel like you want to reach out to specific companies? How do you make those connections?
Companies usually reach out to me. So based on the content I put out, they'll reach out to me when they need like a social media advisor, or
Mhm.
if they want LinkedIn ghostwriting, they see my posts. I recently, in the last like 2 weeks, made a post about my services and said, hey, I do LinkedIn ghostwriting for executives. I'm open to new customers or clients. And I got like 20 inquiries, which was really
Wow.
overwhelming. I
Yeah.
signed 6 new clients. So it was very beneficial to just let people know what I'm available for, what I'm doing. People are very receptive to it. So it's a very exciting time to be on LinkedIn.
Yeah, it's definitely shifting. I know, we're both on Twitter and we see the conversations there of people wanting to leave Twitter and go to LinkedIn. And I'm not leaving Twitter, but I am enjoying being on LinkedIn. I think it's fun to kind of experiment with the different topics and, bringing that knowledge that I share on Twitter and bring it to LinkedIn. So there's a lot of opportunity there.
Yeah,
Um,
I think
yeah,
one other important thing is to add a little bit of a personal touch to your content.
yeah.
People like people and they want to connect with people. I don't mean like you need to say like, this is how I spent my day today or something that's like, I don't know, but like personal things, just that give some insight into who you are as a human, can really do well on LinkedIn as well.
Yeah, definitely agree. So can you tell us more, maybe an example of a client you've worked with as an influencer and what is it that you do? Like when you get a client, what is the first thing that you talk to them about? Is it their goals? What is the purpose of your partnership? How does that partnership work?
Yeah, so when it's a sponsored post on my page or when they sponsor my newsletter, I ultimately ask them, like, okay, who are you trying to connect with? Because I want to make sure that I'm connected with those people and so that my
Mm,
audience is who they actually want to connect with. I had one person who was like a distributor of cannabis, and he went only in like Sacramento and San Francisco. And I was like, honestly, I don't think the post is going to do that well because my network is all over the country and you're in
mhm,
a very small market. We can give it a try if you want, but I'll just be realistic that it might not lead to results. And that post didn't do that well. He didn't get any leads out of it, but he was still
mm,
happy because he got some awareness about his company. But I am realistic with the people who do sponsored content with me of like, okay, here's what we should expect to see. My posts usually get around like 10,000 views. So I let people know like, here's what, we'll see with the views. And I look at their profiles as well
yeah.
before I do a shout out and then after to make sure that there's some growth there because I want these people to get people to add them as well when I do the shout outs. I only do about 1 to 2 sponsored posts a month. I don't want it
Okay.
to become like too saturated,
Yeah.
but generally they seem very flowy with like the other content I do. Like it's hard to tell that it's a sponsored post because of the way I
Mm,
word it, where I'm like selling a service without knowing that you're getting sold to, essentially.
got it. Okay. So if someone wanted to start crafting their brand, personal brand, I guess we'll call it that, to be a B2B LinkedIn influencer, where should they start? What should they do to get started?
They should first build a website that's about
That's
them.
smart.
Yeah, create something that's off of LinkedIn first to really like hone in on their about themselves. So I would create a website, list out your services on that website, have your bio on there, have proof of your past work, showing like what you do, and then start working on your LinkedIn, posting professional content, content that shows you're an expert in your field. Saying what you want out of LinkedIn. People are happy to help each other on LinkedIn. So
Yeah.
if you want to connect with more brands in a certain sector, make a post saying that you want to do that and ask people to, tag other people on your posts and people will be happy to do it. And so, yeah, if they have those connections and then also spending time adding people and commenting on their content.
Mm,
It's a two-way street on LinkedIn. You make a post, but you also need to be commenting on other people's posts too. Um,
definitely.
adding people. LinkedIn allows you to add up to 100 people a week. So you can go and do that without flagging their spam perimeters. So I recommend, adding 50 to 100 people a week that are in your niche audience and then commenting on the content. One trick that I have is with profiles that you really want to make sure you are stay on top of their content and always see it. You can go to their profile and there's a little bell on the corner and you
Mm,
click that bell and then you get notified every time they make a post. And then you can be one of the first people to leave a comment on their page, which means it's highly likely they're going to see your content see your comment before like, the comments get saturated and there's so
mm.
many that they miss it. So I
Smart.
recommend that as a strategy to grow on LinkedIn.
Yeah, that's really smart. Giving away a lot of gems here. I'm gonna start implementing some of this for myself. And so what should brands, if brands are interested in working with B2B influencers, why do you think they should invest? Like, what is it that makes you a powerful person on LinkedIn?
I mean, the results speak for themselves. So I've got a lot of case studies for different companies that have seen results. So if a company in my sector, which is cannabis and social media, is looking to grow their presence in some way, a shout out with me is definitely the way to do it. Yeah, the results just speak for themselves.
Yeah. Are there other industries you think that would benefit other than cannabis? I mean, I know there's a lot obviously on LinkedIn, but and cannabis is so niche. So,
Yeah, I think social media and marketing definitely. There's definitely room for that on there. Business professionals are on LinkedIn, so other businesses I think could do really well in there. I'm just so focused on my cannabis market that I kind of just like, I'm straight all eyes on that. So I haven't paid attention to what other sectors are on there, but I'm sure that there's other industries that are doing really well on LinkedIn as well.
yeah. Well, this was really great. I mean, this was very short to the point, but you gave a lot of great information in the 20 minutes we've been talking. So, I really appreciate your time, Alice. And where can people find you on social media?
My handle on Instagram and Twitter is the Alice Moon, and on LinkedIn, I'm LinkedIn Alice Dash Moon. If you type in the whole LinkedIn URL handle, or you can just search Alice Moon and find me.
Great. Well, thank you again.
Thank you so
Appreciate
much.
it.
It's been wonderful.
Awesome. All right. Bye.
Bye.